Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we review the soundtrack for Tetris on the Game Boy, released in 1989 as a launch title for the North American release of the Game Boy. This soundtrack was arranged and composed by Hirokazu Tanaka and is available through the Nintendo Music app. This is the track listing, and these are the tracks added to my playlist. 6 out of 18, so a third here. However, most of the songs here are just kind of like short jingles. Of the more lengthy songs, I added closer to 40 or 50%. This album is definitely good. The Tetris music is pretty iconic, from the main theme to the victory jingles and all that stuff. It's partially because some of these aren't original Nintendo pieces. Instead, they're arrangements of Russian music. The classic Tetris theme is a Russian folk song, and the victory jingle is by Tchaikovsky. Some of the music here is still original, and it's pretty alright, but it's the impressive arrangements that really make this soundtrack. And the biggest issue with this album, though, it's only about 11 minutes long, which really doesn't give enough meat to make the album really good, even though most of the songs are pretty listenable. There's really just not enough here to really love it. Nothing here is really that bad, even though some of it's not as good as the iconic tracks, but it definitely has some iconic tracks and definitely has a lot of decent stuff, so it's still good. My favorite track here is definitely A-Type, which is the classic Tetris song you're thinking of, the Russian folk song Korabenki. Definitely the best and most memorable song on the soundtrack, although the victory jingles are also really good Game Boy arrangements of classical music. The best original song here is probably that last one, Two-Player Final Results. Reminds me of the ending song to Metroid, which was also composed by Tanaka and is also really good. As the first Tetris and first Game Boy soundtrack, the Tetris Game Boy soundtrack takes the only spot in both of those rankings. Additionally, as the first Nintendo soundtrack I've reviewed from 1989, it takes the top spot from that year. However, this soundtrack doesn't take the top spot from 1989 overall. That stays with Billy Joel's Stormfront, which, although not one of my favorite albums of his, is definitely better and has a lot more going on than the Tetris soundtrack. It also has We Didn't Start the Fire on it, which is at least as iconic as the Tetris theme, so I think Billy Joel keeps it here. Thank you for watching. Next up will be the Tetris soundtrack for the NES, released in the same year. I split up the two soundtracks because they actually have different songs on them. On the Nintendo Music app, the number and names of the tracks in the soundtracks are different between the two. They have different soundtracks. Unlike the Famicom Disc soundtracks that I reviewed earlier with their NES counterparts, those had the same tracks on both copies. The NES and Game Boy versions of Tetris are different. So I will be reviewing them separately, so stay tuned for that, and as always, stay minty.